The tits, chickadees, and titmice constitute the Paridae, a large family of small passerine birds which occur mainly in the Northern Hemisphere and Africa. Most were formerly classified in the genus Parus.While commonly referred to as tits throughout much of the English-speaking world. These birds are called either chickadees or titmice in North America. The name titmouse is recorded from the 14th century, composed of the Old English name for the bird mase, and tit, denoting something small. The spelling was influenced by mouse in the 16th century. Emigrants to New Zealand presumably identified some of the superficially similar birds of the genus Petroica of the family Petroicidae. The Australian robins as members of the tit family, giving them the title tomtit, although, in fact, they are not related. These birds are mainly small, stocky, woodland species with short, stout bills. Some have crests. They range in length from 10 to 22 centimeters. They are adaptable birds with a mixed diet including seeds and insects. Many species live around human habitation and come readily to bird feeders for nuts or seed, and learn to take other foods. Description: with the exception of the three monotypic genera Silviparus, Melanochlora, and Pseudopodoses, the tits are extremely similar in appearance, and have been described as one of the most conservative avian families in terms of general morphology. The typical length of the family is between 10 and 16 centimeters in length. When the monotypic genera are added, this range is from 9 to 21 centimeters. In weight, the family ranges from 5 to 49 grams. This contracts to 7 to 29 grams when the three atypical genera are removed. The majority of the variation within the family comes in plumage and particularly color. The bills of the tits are generally short, and vary between stout and fine dependent on diet. The more insectivorous species have finer bills, whereas those that consume more seeds have stouter bills. The most aberrant bill of the family is possessed by Hume's ground tit, which is long and decurved. Distribution and habitat. The tits are a widespread family of birds, occurring over most of Europe, Asia, North America, and Africa. The genus Paridae occurs from Europe through Asia into North America, as far south as southern Mexico. American species in this genus are known as chickadees. Some species in this genus have quite large natural distributions. The gray-headed chickadee is distributed from Scandinavia to Alaska and Canada. The majority of the tits in the genus Parus are found in the southeastern portion of Asia. This includes two species endemic to the Philippines. The coal tit, also in this genus, is a much more widespread species, ranging from the British Isles and North Africa to Japan. The two crested tits of the genus Lophofanes have a disjunct distribution, with one species occurring in Europe and the other in Central Asia. The genus Beolophus is endemic to America. The genus Parus includes the great tit that ranges from Western Europe to Indonesia. Cyanistes has a European and Asian distribution, and the three remaining genera, Pseudopodoses, Silviparus, and Melanochlora, are all restricted to Asia. Behavior. Tits are active, noisy, and social birds. They are territorial during the breeding season and often join mixed species feeding flocks during the non-breeding season. The tits are highly adaptable, and after the corvids and parrots, amongst the most intelligent of all birds. Vocalizations. The tits make a variety of calls and songs. They are amongst the most vocal of all birds, calling continuously in most situations. So much so that they are only ever silent for specific reasons such as avoiding predators or when intruding on a rival's territory. Quiet contact calls are made while feeding to facilitate cohesion with others in the social group. Other calls are used for signaling alarm, a well-known example being the chickadee of North American species in the genus Parus.While, the call which gives them the local common name, the chickadee. The call also serves a rallying call to summon others to mob and harass the predator. The number of D syllables at the end of the call increases with the level of danger the predator poses. Diet and feeding. The tits are generalist insectivores that consume a wide range of small insects and other invertebrates, particularly small defoliating caterpillars. They also consume seeds and nuts, particularly in the winter. One characteristic method of foraging in the family is hanging, where they inspect a branch, a twig and leaves from all angles while hanging upside down to feed. In areas where numerous species of tit coexist, different species forage in different parts of the tree. The niche determined in no small way by the morphology. Larger species forage on the ground, medium-sized species foraging on larger branches, and the smallest species on the ends of branches. Having obtained larger prey items or seeds, tits engage in hold hammering, where they hold the item with one foot and hammer it with the bill until it opens. In this fashion, they can even open hazelnuts in around 20 minutes. A number of genera engage in food caching, hoarding supplies of food during the winter. Breeding tits are cavity-nesting birds, typically using trees, although Pseudopodos builds a nest on the ground. Most tree-nesting tits excavate the nests, and clutch sizes are generally large for altricial birds, ranging from usually 2 eggs in the rufous-vented tit of the Himalayas to as many as 10 to 14 in the blue tit of Europe. In favorable conditions, this species had laid as many as 19 eggs, which is the largest clutch of any altricial bird. Most tits are multi-brooded, a necessary strategy to cope with either the harsh winters in which they reside in the Holarctic or the extremely erratic conditions of tropical Africa, where typically a single pair cannot find enough food to rear even one nestling, and in drought years breeding is likely to be futile. Many African tit species, along with Pseudopodoses, are cooperative breeders, and even pair breeding parrots are often highly social and maintain stable flocks throughout the non-breeding season. Tits also have a variety of methods for attracting mates, primarily through their intricate, bouncing mating dance. Only the blue tit is typically polygynous. All other species are generally monogamous. Courtship feeding is typical of pair breeding tits to deal with the cost of rearing the large broods. Systematics. Recently, the large Parus group has been gradually split into several genera, initially by North American ornithological authorities and later elsewhere, whereas in the mid-1990s only Pseudopodoses, Bealephis melanochlora, and Silviparus were considered, well supported by the available data, as distinct from Parus. Today, this arrangement is considered paraphyletic as indicated by mtDNA cytochrome B sequence analysis, and Parus is best restricted to the Parus major, Parus fasciae ventriculae, and even the latter species' closest relatives might be considered a distinct genus. In the Sibley-Ahlquist taxonomy, the Paridae family is much enlarged to include related groups such as the penduline tits and long-tail tits, but while the former are quite close to the titmice indeed and could conceivably be included in that family together with the stenosterid warblers, the long-tail tits are not. Indeed, the yellow-browed tit and the sultan tit are possibly more distant to the tits than the penduline tits are. If the two current families are lumped into the Paridae, the tits would be a subfamily Paridae. Alternatively, all tits, save the two monotypic genera discussed in the preceding section and possibly cyanists, but including Hume's ground tit, could be lumped in Parus. In any case, 4 major clades of typical tits can be recognized: the dark-capped chickadees and the relatives, the long-crested Bearlaphus and low-for-fane species, the usually tufted, white-cheeked Paraparus with more subdued coloration, and finally Parus sensu stricto. Still, the interrelationship of these, as well as the relationships of many species within the clades, are not well resolved at all. Analysis of morphology and biogeography probably gives a more robust picture than the available molecular data. Tits have settled North America twice, probably at some time during the early mid-Pliocene. The first were the ancestors of Bearlaphus, with chickadees arriving somewhat later. Species in taxonomic order: family Paridae, genus Cephalopyrus, fire-capped tit Cephalopyrus flammiceps, genus Silviparus, yellow-browed tit Silviparus modestus, genus Melanochlora sultan tit Melanochlora sultanaire, genus Paraparus, black-breasted tit, rufous naped tit Paraparus rufonlachalis, rufous vented tit Paraparus rubidiventris, coal tit Paraparus satyr, genus Pardaliparus, yellow-bellied tit Pardaliparus venestulis, elegant tit Pardaliparus elegans, Palawan tit Pardaliparus amabilis, genus Lophophanes, European crested tit Lophophanes cristatus, grey-crested tit Lophophanes dicrus, genus Bearlaphus, bridal titmouse Bearlaphus.While, Weberioak titmouse Bearlaphus inornatus, juniper titmouse Bearlaphus, ridgeway tufted titmouse Bearlaphus bicolor, black-crested titmouse Bearlaphus atrocristatus, genus Cytiparus varied tit Cytiparus varia ostens tit Cytiparus ostoniaria tit Cytiparus olivarchaeus, chestnut-bellied tit Cytiparus castrano-ventris, white-fronted tit Cytiparus semilarvatus, genus Perseal, white-browed tit Perseal superciliosus, somber tit Perseal lugubris, David's tit Perseal davidi, marsh tit Perseal palustris, Caspian tit Perseal hyrcanus, black-bibbed tit Perseal hypermelainus, willow tit Perseal montanus, Sichuan tit Perseal vigulticus, Carolina chickadee Perseal carolinensis, black-capped chickadee Perseal atricopilus, mountain chickadee Perseal gambelli, Mexican chickadee Perseal sclateri, gray-headed chickadee Perseal cinctus, boreal chickadee Perseal hudsnicus, chestnut-backed chickadee Perseal rufescens, genus Cyanists, African blue tit Cyanists Tenerife, Eurasian blue tit Cyanists Caerulus, azure tit Cyanists Cyanus, genus Pseudopodoses, ground tit Pseudopodoses humilis, genus Parus, great tit Parus major, Japanese tit Parus minor, cinereus tit Parus cinereus, greenback tit Parus monticolus, genus Maclolophus, white-naped tit Maclolophus nuchalis, yellow tit Maclolophus holstei, Himalayan black lord tit Maclolophus xanthogenies, Indian black lord tit Maclolophus aplonotus, yellow-cheeked tit Maclolophus spilinotus, genus Melaniparus, white-shouldered black tit Melaniparus guineensis, white-winged black tit Melaniparus leucomelas, southern black tit Melaniparus niger, carp's tit Melaniparus carpi, white-bellied tit Melaniparus albiventris, white-backed black tit Melaniparus leucinotus, dusky tit Melaniparus funereus, rufous-bellied tit Melaniparus ruffiventris, cinnamon-breasted tit Melaniparus pallidiventris, red-throated tit Melaniparus fringilinus, stripe-breasted tit Melaniparus fasciiventa, acacia titus somali tit Melaniparus thrupi, miombo tit Melaniparus gracea ventris, ashy tit Melaniparus cinerescens, grey tit Melaniparus afer.